Hey there, Charles here. In this episode, we continue our discussion of Self-Care for Men by Garrett Muntz. We finally get to talk about shaving, one of my favorite self-care rituals. Enjoy, and please follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if video is your thing, watch us on YouTube. Thanks.
Hey, Charles. Good morning.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
I am well.
Good. How's life treating you?
Life's treating me well. How I'm reacting to it is not as ideal as I have been in the past. So
that is a tough part.
A challenge. So, but it's a learning experience, and it's reminding me to look and focus on the essentials that are able to support me when I face some challenges and stuff like that. So, yeah, not to break down the podcast first thing in the morning, but you're welcome.
I appreciate it.
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy week. I don't think we've talked on the podcast since I came back from Pennsylvania, have we?
I don't think so. We do need to talk about your little furry friend.
Yeah, I got to meet Punxsutawney Phil. Overall, I enjoyed the trip very much. The flights were very, very smooth. Everything was on time. I liked that. The weather was cold, but not really cold. I mean, it kind of hovered around freezing for the high and then obviously below freezing for the low, but didn't really get in my way. I got, for my rental car, I got a brand new Nissan Rogue. And boy, that was pretty nice. Mm-hmm. It had some features that I'm not used to. Heated seats, heated steering wheel.
Oh,
adaptive cruise control.
That heated steering wheel was probably nice in that weather.
That was nice. Yeah, the adaptive cruise control was nice, where it just kind of stays in your lane. It leaves plenty of space for the vehicle in front of you. And the only thing was, I couldn't completely take my hands off the wheel for more than a few seconds, because then it would start warning me. So I tried to figure out what stuff I could put on the wheel or in the gaps to make it think that I was holding on to it so I could relax, and didn't work it out. But I'm sure if I hit...
But that's not a self-driving
Well,
car,
I mean, It could be if, you're willing to take enough risk.
Yeah.
Any car could be self-driving if you're brave enough. So not like the point where you could
strap a cinder block to the gas pedal.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't have the capability where I could just put in an address and then just kind of chill. Cause it wouldn't do actual turns, but it would stay within the lane and give enough space and increase, accelerate and decelerate. But, so that was kind of fun. I did opt for the prepaid fuel option, which I usually don't do, but I knew I was going to have to do quite a bit of driving. So it was just a matter of tweaking my, using enough gas and putting in a little bit of gas instead of a lot of gas before I dropped it off, so that I was right as close to empty as possible. And, I did that. How
much do they ding you for? A lot, or have those prices come down? Because I thought a prepaid fuel option is
it's
$6 a gallon.
No. It saves you money. The prepaid fuel option is cheaper than the price at the pump. See, what they're doing is they're gambling on the fact that you're going to leave some gas in the tank.
Yeah. And
so their price per gallon that they actually have to use to fill it up, they'll make money on it, because enough people don't.
Yeah.
It only works if it's on fumes when you turn it back in. That's when it works for you. And the rest of the time it works for them, because they charge you for a full tank of gas.
Right. How close to the pump price is it?
It was a little below, I believe. It was $3.40 a gallon. And I think what I saw up there was a little bit higher than that. Whereas if you don't get the prepaid fuel option, and they have to fill it up for you.
Oh, that's when
it's $10 a gallon. Yeah. So that's when they really get you.
Yeah. That one I remember. I always thought the prepaid though was still more than the price at the pump, but I guess not.
No, it was right at or slightly below.
Okay.
But again, it's like any insurance. They make money on most of the people that buy life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance. They like I always say, they don't build those skyscrapers in Hartford, Connecticut by giving away more than they take in.
Right. Yep.
And so the fuel option's the same thing, where for most people, the rental car company comes out on top. But I knew I was doing enough driving and I would inconvenience, I would go and put in $1 worth of gas if I had to, just so that I could push the car back in and get my full benefit from the fuel option. But I did skip the insurance. Usually if the loss damage waiver is what I consider to be a reasonable amount, I'll go ahead and get that, because I have used it once where I dinged up my car and basically just handed them the keys and I was like, here's your car back.
Yep.
But they wanted $37 a day for the loss damage waiver, which was more than I paid for the car. The rental was less than that.
Holy cow. So some credit cards, I know American Express has it. I don't know if other cards do, but you can, if you rent the car with that card, sign up for their extra insurance. It's extra. It's not like part of the card. Most cards, they say they'll cover you, but you still have to go through your insurance first.
Right.
This, it's $25 per rental period, not per day.
Okay.
And it goes first.
Interesting.
And so I've used that once before and I use it now. So if you have a card that offers that, you might need to call customer service, because it's not easy to find. Not all cards make it that obvious and available, because it's a great deal.
Yeah, that is a great deal. I'll have to look in. I think I put it on my Discover card, which is what I use for renting cars, and I don't know if they have that or not, but I'll check. Yeah.
So if they see that it comes through a rental car agency, it automatically charges the $25, but it's only for that one period, and then you're covered. I
like that.
And it's just as good as the loss damage waiver.
Yeah, that's the thing where they get you on the loss damage waiver is if you damage the car and you have auto insurance, which in Florida everybody has to, then your auto insurance will pay for the repair. Where the rental car companies get you is they say, well, the car was out of our rotation for 2 weeks, so we couldn't rent it to anybody. So you have to pay us for the money that we lost, the revenue we lost that we could have.
Ah, yeah.
Although I have heard that there are some ways to get around that, where basically, the person who told me this had to hire a lawyer. And basically the lawyer says, okay, you need to prove to us that you had enough demand that this, not having this exact car available actually cost you money. And if the rental car company can't prove that they lost money, that class or whatever was completely booked out the whole time it was being repaired, then they can't. It's like, if you jet out on an apartment lease early and they're like, well, you broke the lease, you have to pay us. It's like, yeah, but 5 days later, you rented it to somebody else. So you don't get to charge me for the lost rent and then also collect rent from this new person.
Makes sense.
You don't get to make money on both.
Sure.
And so it's basically the same principle with a rental car. If they say, well, we were out this money, but they can't prove that they actually had to say no to someone and send them to Alamo or some other rental car. Then that's cheating, and they're not allowed to do that.
Hey, that's fair. I'm all about fairness.
It was a great trip. I really had a fun time. The thing I did realize was I did not have to go there as early. I was on the 1.5 mile walk to Gobbler's Knob at 4 a.m. And for the ceremony that started at 7:20, I could have just rolled in 5 minutes beforehand, because I had no interest in standing up at the front anyway. I just wanted to be there for the whole experience and all that. And, it's
not seating. So everybody's standing around anyway.
It's just standing around. And if you're solo like I was, and you're at the front and then you have to go get some coffee or go pee, you're not getting back to the front. So I just checked out of that whole system. And I was like, I'm going to stand toward the back of this crowd. And, I have said frequently, it's silly to boast about something that you didn't earn or you can't control. I've got this 2010 vision that I was born with, and still here I am at a ripe old age of 46, and I could still, be a fighter pilot if it didn't require anything but good vision. So I'm fine standing at the back. I can see everything really well that I would want to see.
Yeah.
So being up front, shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of strangers from Western Pennsylvania. Oh, no thanks. So
the worst.
I was in the back of the crowd.
Eastern Pennsylvania, that would have been a little bit better. Yeah.
Some of those people, Philly people are all right.
Those people would have been better.
Not West Philadelphia. I'm just basing that completely off of the theme song to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't know anything else beyond that, but I hear it's a rough neighborhood. So I was far enough in the back where I could lean up against a tree. I had my AirPods in. I was listening to the Jack Reacher book that will serve as the plot points for the upcoming third season. And so reacquainting myself with that novel and just kind of zoned out, hung out, had the best cup of hot chocolate I've ever had in my life, which I found out after I was finished consuming it. It just came out of a packet of Swiss Miss. But I think it's because it was cold and because of the environment. Something about it just psychologically felt like that this is the best cup of hot chocolate I've ever had in my life. And I told you about the donuts. They had jumbo Amish donuts, which I don't know exactly what made it Amish.
Mm-hmm.
But very light chocolate frosting on the outside. It was an eclair basically, with a very light chocolate frosting on the outside and a peanut butter cream filling.
Wow.
And that combo was real good. I don't like it when my chocolate overpowers my peanut butter. I want a little bit more peanut butter than chocolate, to be honest.
I'm the same way.
And it was quite good. Got to take my selfie, or it wasn't a selfie. One of the crew from the Groundhog Society. There are 3 of them actually on all different positions taking pictures with Phil. So after the ceremony was over, I waited, and he was asleep. He was tired out. There's a lot of work predicting the weather. And got my picture with him, and it was a blast. I'm so glad that I've been talking about doing it pretty much since the Groundhog Day movie came out, which I did watch start to finish after I got back to the hotel on Groundhog Day. I was like, okay, I'm just going to nap and catch up on my sleep, because my alarm went off at 2 a.m. that morning to get ready for this thing. And, then I watched Groundhog Day. Still holds up. Still is an amazing movie. And, it was a good time. So checked a big one off the bucket list.
Nice. Sounds like you got the full experience.
I did. I think there was probably the full experience is, getting there at 7:00 the night before and just hanging out and staying up all night, which they can keep that. I have no interest.
Were there people there that you met that said they were there since 7 the night before?
I mean, that I met implies that I talked to anyone other than people selling me things.
Yeah.
And no, that's not really my style.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I didn't seek out any interaction with other humans other than, here's my money, give me the thing that I'm buying from you.
Gotcha. All right. So you didn't get the full experience. I'd say you got 90% of the experience.
Yeah. I imagine some people would find the social aspect valuable, but, I consider those people weak. No, everybody that, I had any, brief, inconsequential interactions with seemed nice, but, I'm mostly looking to listen to audiobooks and have a bunch of thoughts kicking around in my head, not really get acquainted with people. So, and mission accomplished. All right. So, the next trip, I don't know. I'm probably going to hold off on any more travel until, at least April. But, man, and then I got the big European expedition in August. I was thinking about a second trip to Europe in September, which would be really crazy to go back to back like that, unless I could find a really great deal.
Okay.
But so far, the only, Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within that is scheduled to take place in real life instead of virtual is in Cologne, Germany.
Okay.
And
it's September.
It's in September. So there may be another one right around my birthday. There's going to be, but they haven't announced the location yet.
Yeah.
So I should probably sign up for his email list so that I find out.
What does that run price wise?
It's not crazy expensive. It's around Podfest type money, like $400 or $500, like for the cheap seats. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For the cheap seats, maybe it was
that's
$5.99 or $6.99.
That's surprising for an in-person
it's only 3 days.
Still.
And
for Tony Robbins, I feel like
I know I'm conditioned to think of everything in terms of what it costs to go to like Tech Ed or one of those like Microsoft events and those are like, I can't imagine I haven't even looked. I don't know what they're charging now, but it used to be like for a VIP to one of the Microsoft events that I was interested in, it was like $3,900 to go for like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And compared to the stuff you and I attend now, it's like it's different. Everything seems cheap.
Yeah. I mean, it's different going business to business versus business to consumer for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. But I am thinking about going to KetoCon again this year. You'll be out of town, so I'll have to consider.
Most likely.
I'll have to consider going solo, but I did have a good time at it last year. I learned it serves.
I would absolutely go if I'm going to be in town. I'll go. It's not solid that I'm going to be out.
Okay.
So it's looking like I most likely will be, but I had a great time at KetoCon.
Very motivating, right? I mean, you learn a lot about.
I was just talking about all the free sausage, but
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Fresh cooked hot meat. Fantastic, man.
And not once did they give us the side eye for returning and eating their sausage over and over.
Oh, they were just excited. They were excited to serve
and
you know what?
Yeah.
I have bought a lot of that Nyman Ranch sausage.
Yeah,
and they also sell it under a different brand at Whole Foods. I have a freezer full of that. Remember, you open it up and you're like, oh, there's a sausage.
It's a sausage party.
The sausage party. Yes, in my freezer. I'm dancing the sausage party in my freezer.
That's awesome. And what a great snack. I mean,
I do that now. So I when I'm trying to do keto, I cook off a whole package and then I slice them up into quarters and I keep them in the fridge. So by the time I'm fixing for a real meal, I can just grab one of those little pieces of sausage, pop it in my mouth, and kind of hold me over so I don't make the worst decisions ever when it comes to making the meal itself. Right?
That reminds me. Speaking
it does slow me down. It's fantastic.
Of cooking, I did pull the trigger on my convection oven, toaster oven, air fryer combo.
Oh, nice!
And I ordered one of those 2 days ago.
Okay,
and I'm really looking forward to getting that. And what I want to kick up is my seafood, my fish and poultry consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And not just, whenever I cook meat for myself at home, it's always burgers and it gets kind of boring. Or if I've got an easier way to cook up some chicken and turkey and quail and pheasant and ortolan bunting. No, I'm not going to make any of that, but I will.
What did you just say?
Ortolan bunting. It's
all right. Is that a new shoe brand that's like blue on the bottom?
It's that's
Louboutin. Okay, sorry.
Oh, how dare you? It's it's a really creepy delicacy.
Okay.
Where you cook a whole little bird in I believe you drown it in some kind of a liqueur.
Uh-huh.
And then you basically hold it by the beak and eat the whole body at once.
Oh, wow.
And
it's traditionally never heard of this.
It's traditionally eaten with a covering over your head.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
that was in a movie. Wasn't that? Or
it was in Hannibal. It might have been in Hannibal.
Was it in Hannibal or maybe. Was it in Billions?
It was in Billions. Yes. And so, you cover your head with a towel while you eat it.
And it's illegal, isn't it? I thought that's what they were spinning it as.
I think it might.
Right?
I don't know. I mean, it'd probably be. To make it yourself probably wouldn't be illegal.
I thought that's why you put the towel over your head.
Oh, no, that's because it's so indulgent. You're basically ashamed in the presence of God to do something so indulgent as to,
oh my gosh, man,
as to eat this meal. Yeah. I heard a comic a few years ago reference it, and I looked around and I'm like, man, I'm the only guy here who's going to get what this guy's talking about. I mean, maybe that's a little judgmental on my part to.
No, come on.
But, it's like, yeah. And because I think it was before it was in Billions. Okay. And I don't remember where I first heard about it, but probably some deep, YouTube rabbit hole. But anyway, so I will not be cooking that in my Ninja air fryer. But I did get the one that folds up, so it's space saving, which is always
absolutely
important in my surroundings. Absolutely. All right, this is a chapter of self-care for men that I have been really looking forward to because I love all things shaving. And man, I started shaving when I was pretty young. Mostly due to neckbeard situation. That
came in first.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's the worst. So yeah, I would get very thick, coarse hair on my neck before I was able to grow a real beard or even a goatee. It was neckbeard first, and then chin, then mustache. Then cheeks, and then the connector between my mustache and my goatee was the last thing to come in.
Wow. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that to come in.
Any day now, Dan.
Yeah,
Any day.
I don't have my cheeks either, so yeah.
Yeah, but I've tried everything as far as shaving technology. I have started probably with I believe the Gillette Sensor, like their first one with like sort of a fancy handle and then replaceable cartridges. That was really the dominant shaving technology when I started. So that's what I used, the Gillette Sensor. And that's what I actually still use today. My current go-to is a Gillette Sensor handle with the Gillette Sensor XL cartridges.
Okay.
The Mach 3 and the Fusion and all that kind of stuff, I was never really into. I was like, this seems redundant. I'm getting a great shave with a Gillette sensor. So why do I need 18 blades?
Yeah. If it's not working for you, then I mean, if it is working for you, then why?
And they just get more and more expensive, and they seem to last less and less length of time. And it's like, why do I need 5 or 6 blades to go over in a single pass? I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if shaving your face was a 45-minute job and you could cut it in a quarter by having 4 blades, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe this makes sense, but it doesn't work that way. So the multi-blade cartridge razor is where I started. I have tried the double-edged safety razor where you basically screw it down like the old I think James Bond shaved with one of those in one of the original Sean Connery movies. And I tried that, and it's pretty good. You can get a good shave with those. I like them. I have done the straight razor and
yourself.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And it's pretty good. The only thing I got one years and years ago that was the kind where you had to like use the stone and use the strop and all that stuff, and that was just too much work. So now the one that I currently have is basically, it's a replaceable one where you pinch the end of it and the blade comes out and then you put a new one in, but it's still just one, and it requires the same level of skill to pull it off. I like it. I find it to be somewhat of a meditative process, like riding a motorcycle or flying a plane, where you kind of have to focus 100% on the thing that you're doing. So it's kind of calming to be that focused. But it does take a longer amount of time to use than any of the other options.
Yeah.
But it does give a very close shave, and it feels good. And you can't really skimp on any of the process, where if I'm going to give myself a straight razor shave, I'm going to use the pre-shave oil well, first I'm going to steam my face, and then I'm going to do the pre-shave oil. Then I'm going to work to, I've got the mug with the cream or the lather and the brush. And yeah, you have to go through all the steps, and you have to be serious about all the steps to get your face very wet and very slick, so that the straight razor moves very easily on your skin. And then aftershave at the end and all that. And it's fun. Like if I'm going out for a night out or something and I want to pamper myself a little bit, I'll still do it occasionally, but it's only probably once a quarter is about as often as I do it.
Yeah, I think that's great because it separates the world from what you're currently doing. Like you said, you have to focus on it, and it also sets your mind for the right intention for that evening as well. I feel like it absolutely calms you down. It probably helps you focus a little bit and just really be able to feel, where you are in the world and where you are in your body. And then also helps you have a much better time at whatever event it's going to be.
I agree. Yeah. You're investing in your appearance and your feelings.
It's like people playing music before, getting dressed before they go out, same kind of thing. You're really being intentional. As a daily practice or a weekly practice, that is way too much work for me. And if I'm going to do it, I would go to get a professional done. My hands, definitely not like a surgeon, and I would coming out. Yeah. So one of the pieces of advice he talks about here is, if you are going to do this for a special event like a wedding, he's like, do it the day before, because you might end up getting some nicks or ingrown hairs.
Yeah, if I'm either going out with friends and I expect a lot of picture taking, or even I'm getting my headshots done, my beard doesn't grow so quickly that I can easily.
Is that like Homer Simpson?
No, definitely not. Yeah. I can shave the night.
He walks out of the bathroom.
I can shave the night before and still the next morning look like I just shaved, but with none of the scabs or any of the irritation or anything like that. So I would always say, if you're anticipating having your picture taken, whether you use a straight razor or really any kind of shaving, just to be safe, do it the night before.
Yeah.
Unless your hair grows super fast and super thick. But even then, 12 hours of stubble isn't going to look bad in really any professional or recreational circumstance. Yeah. So if I was getting married in the morning, I would still shave my face the night before. And if it looks like I've got a little bit of growth, okay, so what? But yeah, that's the, I have tried an electric razor, and I've noticed that the rotary style, where it's got like the 3 circles, those do not work on my hair at all. Yeah,
I think I tried that when I was a kid, and it didn't.
It did not get the job done.
Felt like if it did, it felt like it pulled it out. It didn't even cut it,
and it never got like close enough to me. It never caught all the hairs for me.
Yeah.
What has worked? I've tried the the Braun style with like the screens, and those do a pretty good job on me, but I just enjoy the shaving and especially now I keep a stubbly beard, at least. Sometimes I grow my beard longer than this. And so I'm really only doing my neck and my cheeks anyway. So I like the blade experience. I would never trade it for an electric. What about you? What kind of equipment do you use?
I've fallen in for the marketing for Gillette. I get the latest gadget, right? Yeah. So whether it's more blades, whether it's vibrating, you put a battery in it. It's got the 2 strips of, the lubricant or whatever that I don't need, really, honestly. Right. And I'll be honest with you, I'm like looking at all the procedures in this chapter in terms of, like you said, putting on the beard oil and getting the shaving cream. I don't grow that much hair, and so I just need a little bit of a trim. I don't use shaving cream. I
skip shaving cream.
Yep. Sometimes I won't even do it after the shower because they talk about you want to open up your pores and make it. I don't even do that because sometimes I feel like I don't get a good enough grip. So I will do it like dry.
With your face dry?
With my face dry, and then I'll put in some. I might put on some aftershave after that. Little moisturizer. And I'll be honest with you. For me, I don't get that much joy out of the whole process of shaving. Yeah. It's just a pain for me.
Okay.
So it just kind of gets in the way because, first of all, it doesn't grow in evenly for me. So for me, it's more of like I'm trying to not look like a dirty homeless person, basically. Gotcha. And so I'm kind of just cleaning up what I have here, and then I'll just use the the hair trimmer from Braun. On my beard a little bit and just to kind of trim that up and stuff. So I keep it as simple as possible, but that's not something, again, I love getting massages. I love getting, pedicures and like it. That's how I will care for myself in that way.
Yeah.
Shaving has just not been one of those things. And anytime I've gotten like a straight razor shave,
I was going to just ask you about that.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous.
Oh, really?
It does, because like you're getting close to the carotid artery there with a blade, So, and I've had doctors mess up procedures on me when I've had conversations with them, and they've been like distracted talking.
Oh, really?
So they screwed up my toenails. I was getting some work done on that. They drop acid on more of the nail than they were supposed to. Totally screwed up my toenails. So for me, I'm just kind of get in and get out, and that's it. What was interesting to me to learn in this chapter was that Alexander the Great was the one who started this, according to this guy, basically to get his soldiers to shave so that their beards wouldn't be pulled in battle. And I was like, oh,
that is interesting.
Very interesting. Huh.
Yeah. And I think, because it could be, I wonder, what about the hair on their head? Did they shave their heads too? Because back then I feel like all the TV shows and movies, they all had kind of like long hair in addition to the beards and stuff. So interesting. Yeah, I could see a completely hairless man, I suppose, would be
very aerodynamic.
Kind
of slide in and out of different grips and holds. And, I mean,
cover themselves with oil.
Well, a lot of UFC fighters, right?
That's true.
Their head and same thing, with swimmers trying to make themselves move more quickly through the water. So, so I don't have much of a routine. I have the polar opposite of this extreme of a routine for shaving.
That's so interesting because there are opposites in other areas, but I like all the detailed process in shaving. My go-to shaving gel right now is there's a sensitive skin formula by Edge, which I used to always be a snob and kind of look down on Edge. I prefer the Gillette shaving gel in the can to the Edge, but from what I can tell, Gillette is not making a completely dye-free, fragrance-free version, and Edge is, and we've talked about that a bajillion times, that I like fragrance-free everything except my expensive cologne that I like. And Edge has a sensitive skin formula where it works. It gets the job done, and it doesn't have any dyes or perfumes or anything, so I use that now. Yeah. I just used it this morning, as a matter of fact, to shave, and I like it a lot. Now, for my straight razor action, I've got a can of the Art of Shaving cream, and it's the one they only sell around Christmas. It's peppermint
Oh, nice.
Scented.
Oh,
but peppermint smells good all year.
Yeah.
You don't need to just, use peppermint. It does smell just like a candy cane, but everything peppermint smells like a candy cane. But so I use it year round, and then I skip any additional cologne on days when I decide to do the straight razor shave. I have been skipping the cologne, last couple days too, because I'm using my banana oat milk, fancy soap that I bought at Whole Foods. That was my last self-care purchase.
Okay.
And that stuff, it smells good and it feels really good. I may always keep one of those bars of fancy soap in my shower to treat myself. They have some other scents that I really like a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overarching theme with this book is having those little self-care items like your soap. Sometimes that's enough to change your mindset from woe is me, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't see a way out of this to just all it is just a pattern interrupt sometimes. It's not even like I feel so much better. It's just stop and make you think and just kind of reanalyze and wait, there's another choice here. I don't have to be kind of keep going down this path.
Yeah, and just a little extra, just putting that bar up to my nose and smelling it before it's like, oh, this smells good.
It could bring back some memories.
Absolutely.
So I was listening to a book the other day. It's called The Hunger Habit by Judd
Nelson.
Not Judd Nelson. I'll
I'll
remember it later, but he's a psychiatrist.
Okay.
And he studies addiction. And what he had said was, the sense of smell is the only one of our five senses that has direct access to our brain.
I believe it.
And
man, nothing brings back a memory. Oh my gosh.
Will trigger good feelings or bad feelings or memories faster than smell. And for me, it's bus exhaust. So I may have talked about this on that.
I don't remember that.
So as a kid, we went to visit family in Germany, and it was like once a year we would go and we'd take a family. My mom was from over there, so we go see our grandparents and stuff, and we would have to drive up to the airport, and the buses were sitting in front of where we were getting out, and so I associated getting out of the car and inhaling this big gust of bus exhaust because they were sitting there idling with going to visit family, going on this trip. So now every time I smell car exhaust or bus exhaust, it brings me back. I get excited. It's the weirdest thing. It's like I start getting, I don't know, just like amped up for an adventure type of thing. So, but it brings me right back to JFK Airport.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I forget that. Yeah, JFK is that's the main one for international flights.
That was
right?
before. Yeah, that was
because LaGuardia. I think it's just a domestic airport. Still,
I mean, I'm a little bit old, so I think before there were a lot of direct flights from Newark.
Yeah,
LaGuardia. It was JFK. We'd have to take that trip, and we'd have to get there 8 hours early because my mom would freak because sometimes we went through customs before we left, and it was a process going international.
And how long would you go to Germany for?
So it depended on the time of year, but usually if we went during the summer, when we had a summer break, we were lucky enough to go maybe 6-8 weeks. And we stayed with the family and everything else like that.
Yeah.
So I was really fortunate to be able to do that, and it was definitely a learning experience. The first time I realized, hey, people outside of the country have a perspective and they ask me questions,
right? And
it's completely different. So it made me realize the things that we hear, see, and experience in this country is a lot different. And that there's so many other ways to look at things.
Yeah, for sure.
They made me think. And a lot of times they knew a lot more about our government and our country than I did, or that I remembered from history class and stuff.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. I mean, when the United States is the driver of so many events and policies in the Western world, like smaller countries, like they have to pay attention to what's going on over here because it's going to trickle down and affect them. Yeah. Where we kind of just can take it for granted. America is the way America is. And
also the fact is that they still looked at America, or they still do, as a very young country.
Oh,
and
yeah. So
the cultures and traditions that they have in place in Europe, especially that they've been doing for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years, that doesn't exist in our country. We're just not that old yet. So they have a lot of like curiosity in terms of why do you do things this way? And sometimes, there's a little judgment there. Like we're a little excessive with certain things. Yeah. And, why aren't you paying more attention to certain things like the environment and what are you doing to help, so yeah, it was definitely enlightening growing up there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to my first trip to Germany in a couple.
Try not to eat everything because it's all going to be good, man. Yeah,
it's going to be wild. Yeah.
I
am looking. I always look forward to the food whenever I travel anywhere. I mean, the kind of food that they have is.
And what's nice is, and just like you think of Germany and all right, every little town makes its own beer, has its own brewery, yes.
Right.
But they also do that with other food like sausage. So they have their own seasonings, their own style of making it or whatever. So
I'm excited.
Whenever you're going someplace local, even if you're going to a small little town, say, hey, give me something, from, that's made here or whatever. And usually it's freaking amazing. And
yeah, that is one thing that I have gotten on board with when I visit someplace. I mean, even if I'm just going to the Caribbean or something like that, and I go to a restaurant, I just tell the waitress, hey, just bring me your favorite thing. I don't care what it is. I want to try something that you as a local enjoy.
Yeah.
And I've never regretted that.
Yeah.
That decision. It's always been like, oh, well, that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And as I was telling you this morning, between now and my trip, Taylor Swift is going to release a brand new album that I will hopefully get to hear some of the music from on when I go see her in concert.
Oh, hopefully it's as good as her other stuff that you like so much.
I'm sure it will be.
That's faith, man. That's faith.
I mean, she hasn't put out bad music, but yeah, my appreciation for her music has certainly grown in the last few months. But and going to the movies to see the concert movie that she released, which, I mean, the movie was good, but even better was the way that she released it without a studio. She just went straight to the theaters and said, hey, I've put this movie together. So instead of selling it through a studio, I'll just sell it directly to you. And that's what made her a billionaire. That plus the tour itself. So
it's definitely a smart cookie.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, I appreciate that. So, okay. I think my message to the men out there as far as shaving is, don't shave the way Dan does.
Correct.
Don't make it a chore and a burden.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to enjoy it and take some pleasure out of it, and spend some money on, whether it's a good razor or good shaving cream or good oil or whatever. I love the Art of Shaving stuff. I love the way it smells. Their lavender stuff is my favorite, but all their stuff smells good. And I've used the peppermint that comes out at the holidays. The lemongrass, the lavender, the unscented. I've used some of all of it, and it's good stuff. So I recommend their products.
And I support that as well. Don't follow my example. Follow Charles's, because you're going to get a lot more pleasure and enjoyment, and because of that, you're going to look a lot better by going through these steps and really enjoying it. So
I'm going to isolate you saying follow Charles's example, so that I'm going to
feel free.
I'm going to put it on the board like Fred on the Howard Stern show had all.
Yeah, let's spice it up. Let's start using this thing.
Whenever we have a disagreement about any issue, I'm just going to follow Charles's example. Just start pounding it.
Let's do it. I'm all about it.
All right. Thanks, Dan. We will talk next week on masking, and I will both use some masks. I know we've the Neutrogena masks that we ordered when we started talking about this book and putting together our little kit for self-care on the road. And next time I'll have a report to offer on these masks about how good they feel and how effective I think they are.
Sounds good, sir.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, you made it through the whole thing, so you must like us at least a little bit, in which case you should definitely follow or subscribe to our show in your chosen podcast app. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.